Our fans, welcome back to another match preview episode. As we know, starting a very important month, aren't we? My God, November in League One. Again, I think I say this on absolutely every episode at the minute, but can you believe it is November already in League One? I still remember sipping a sangria in Torrevieja in Spain in July, thinking, wow, we've still got another 2 weeks to the season starts. And lo and behold, November, I'm fourth. I know you guys have kind of got used to me saying this, but I pinch myself every time I do these match preview episodes this season. As we know, this Thursday night, live on Sky Sports, we do play Reading in our 13th League One match this season. Reading at the minute currently in 19th, us in the minute currently 4th. A big game for both teams. It is sure to be hopefully an exciting game, and that hopefully both Stevenage and Reading don't put on an absolute snore fest for the listeners. And it is somewhat of a good game of football Thursday. Should be good fun. Joining us back on the podcast, very excited for this one. Our very good pal, Matt Lansley from the Elm Park Royals Podcast. Matt, how are you, mate?
I'm good. I love the positivity when we talk and everything, and it's well, rightly so with how the season's gone. I mean, it's been a fantastic start really for Stevenage. This season going to be a very tough game for us on Thursday. I can't get used to Thursday night football. I don't like it. I'm going to be one of those moaners on why are we playing on Thursday night. But yes, obviously the Sky Sports cameras thought, what more can we want? Don't worry about all the Europa League and the Conference League. Reading FC versus Stevenage. That's the game that everyone wants to watch. Like, absolutely.
I love that so much. I remember when it was announced and I thought, Thursday, Sky Sports? I thought, really? But they seem to do this, don't they, Sky Sports? They just love to throw the odd game in. And everyone's like, what? That's on Thursday night? There's been some over the last couple of weeks that I've watched and thought, what? But it should be good, my man. It should be good. Are you at the game yourself Thursday?
Yes. Yeah. Always at the home games. Haven't been to as many away games this season due to work and a bit of travel, but yeah, always get down to the SCL. Or Medeski, the Medeski Stadium is not the SCL, even though brilliant sponsors helped us massively in our troubled time, so I can't say a bad thing about them or the name, to be honest. I know it gets a lot of mocking, kind of, I guess rightly so, because of the name. It's quite an unorthodox one, but they certainly earned their weight over our troublesome period. So yeah.
Do you know, I was just thinking, actually, that must have been a nightmare, right? When, again, it changes every year, but the Football League trophy, and it just changes sponsor every year. So it's something and it's something else, it's something else. Now it's the Virtue. That must have been a nightmare, right? When it was still called the SelectCarLeasing.com trophy, which I do believe it was called for a season. So I can imagine that was a nightmare whenever you had a home game at the Select Leasing Car Stadium in the SelectLeasing.com trophy.
I didn't even realize it was, I'm going to be honest. So I've learned something new. You can tell how much I paid attention to that trophy over the years. Yeah, I didn't know that. I'll be honest. I got through that by not knowing.
That is, I remember when it was called the Select Leasing Trophy and thinking, hang on a second, Reading's got the SelectCarLeasing.com stadium. How does that kind of come together? But yeah, that must have been, again, I think that was like 2 years ago or a year ago or something like that. Matt, Reading FC.
Yes.
Before we have a chat about this season, because there's been a lot that's gone on, and I'm sure that we're going to dive into that. Just take you through us a little bit back into last season in the summer, how it was at Reading, obviously finishing in League One. I think we spoke last year, didn't we? And it was just there's just been so much going on at Reading the last 2 years, and I know there's been a lot of panic with owners, and obviously there was a lot of protests. And it's nice to have seen you on the other end of that. At least I remember the time last year or 2 years ago where people were throwing tennis balls on the pitch, weren't they?
Yes.
All the protests. Just speak to us about Reading last season and coming into the summer.
Yeah, so kind of like, I mean, last season, obviously we were still under the previous tumultuous ownership, and kind of it seemed to be dragging on forever. I guess like the key points, I guess, flag from last season was obviously in the summer of last season. So we're talking not summer just gone, but the one before. Obviously, it seemed like a sale was going to go through. It was going to go through to the most unlikeliest of people, Rob Coig, who tried to, famously buy the training ground, and no one knew the reasons behind that, etc. But at the last minute, our wonderful, lovely last owner decided just to say, no, I don't fancy selling to you anymore. There was rumours circulating around all the different reasons why, potential last minute kind of changes to the contract, etc. But pretty much everyone thought, and I think Rob Coig, Todd Trosclair, and the ownership group thought they were going to get it last summer, around the start of September. Even actually did, I think, one transfer, actually, the Chem Campbell one, because we lost Femi Aziz. They then went to the EFL, were able to get in a loan signing because we lost Femi Aziz to Millwall, but that all fell through. And so that kind of left us in the lurch last year and left us in the feeling of just, well, God, this can't keep going on, can it? And then you get the Mick McCarthy, it can, in the back of your mind. But like last season, we did very well. We started the season fantastically, had it Ruben Selles at the start of last season, played very exciting football. We were very end-to-end, weren't the best defensively, but we had a very young defence. We had Tyler Binden and Amadou Mbenge at the back. Tyler Binden, 19 years old, Amadou Mbenge, 22. But brilliant centre backs. And unfortunately, I think, everything had taken its toll on Ruben Selles. And when Hull came calling in December time, no one really blamed him. He kind of, he took that opportunity. We wished him best on his ways, basically. It was very bitterly disappointing to lose him last year, but we kind of got through that. Noel Hunt was really the only option we could get. Again, we couldn't sign anyone, we couldn't pay for anyone, so it was promote from within. And Noel Hunt done a brilliant job with the under-23s over the past 4 or 5 years, really instilling kind of the values and the culture of the club on our young kids, and famously bringing through the likes of Michael Elise, and amongst others, Femi Aziz, and everyone, good players that have gone to really good careers. I mean, I guess that's an understatement really for Michael Elise. But he had a massive job on his hands because he had to keep what Ruben Selles had built. And there was a lot of kind of, I guess the only way to describe it is depression in the fan base, because everyone, again, I lost count of how many times I thought that, we weren't going to see through the other end. But he galvanized the club. He had a bit of a rocky start to begin with, a few good wins, a few really bad losses though as well, which kind of left us in a bit of a situation come end of January. Like I think where we lost, I think it was 2-0 to Leyton Orient, thinking, oh God, where can we go from this? But he was able to make us really tough to beat last year, and that's what we became. We became a really tough to beat, almost Brian McDermott-esque kind of manager, making sure that as long as it's 1-0, you're still in the game, or keep it at 0-0. If it goes down to 1-0, make sure you don't concede a second, because if you do, that's game over. If you get one yourself, that's 1-1. You're getting a draw, or you can potentially get a win. And so we just became a very gritty, tough to beat team, even though we lost, people in the January transfer window as well, Sam Smith and everyone, but made just a really good feel-good factor. And then come the end of the season, we got to the last game of the season, and obviously we could still get playoffs on the last day of the season. We were battling Leyton Orient in that. But news broke just before the game kicked off. Actually, it was that morning or the night before that the sale had been agreed, pretty much all bar the formalities of HMRC. So it got to the weird point of being the last game of the season, needing a win to at least try and get into the playoffs. But everyone was in party mood because the sale had finally kind of got to a point where it's like, surely it can't go wrong this time. And of course it was to Rob Coig, who tried to buy it the previous summer. So even though we lost 4-2, it's the weirdest game I've ever been to, because that's a game you should be really nervous for. But as a fan, I think we all thought, well, even if we lose, we've kind of won here. So yeah, no Hunt's or kind of job then was to keep the squad together. I think he did a really good job last year. It was hard to watch at times. You were kind of looking and think, what's trying to go on here? but you can't really complain when your manager's got you to seventh and kind of got you so close to the playoffs. And when you looked at it over his tenure, I think he was seventh or sixth, in the form table since he took over. So he deserved the shot this year. Unfortunately, it's just not worked out this year, and that's obviously why the change was made the other week.
What was the kind of expectation coming into this season, right? Because obviously you've mentioned there the amazing news of, the deal going through and you getting kind of out of that predicament that you've been in. And again, a nice way to end the campaign and kind of, I don't want to say it sets you up really nicely for this campaign, but it does in a way because, you've kind of got over that hurdle. Noel Hunt, again, obviously someone that's, loved at the football club, who's been with Reading, etc. in his career. So kind of what was the expectation with Hunt this season? Because obviously it hasn't gone the way that I think a lot of people would have hoped.
Mhm.
What was it? Was it to be right up there competing, or did you think maybe that it would be a bit more of a difficult season than first thought?
I think it depends who you ask within the fan base, because um, when we started the summer, we had 6 players in contract. We tried to retain a number of the players we had last. I mean, last season we had a squad thinner than a piece of paper. It was literally the starters, and then it was academy kids. It really wasn't good. We didn't have many options. Well, I didn't have any options really to bring on from the bench. So there was a big rebuild that needed to happen over the summer. And so I think, my view at the start of summer was like it's impossible to judge right now. If we get a few players in, you never know. And then kind of we're able to retain Joel Pereira in goal, which was a really brilliant news because obviously he was out of contract, so that bumped us up to the dizzying heights of 7 players. We extended Lewis Wing's contract, which again brilliant because the interest was circling around him. Brilliant midfielder at this level. And we were also able to sign Paddy O'Connor really early in the window, which he looked at that and he thought, oh wow, okay, actually we've had a really good start to the window here. New owners, and they themselves have been very ambitious in their statements, a bit like an excited puppy, I think I've called them at times. They sometimes dig themselves a hole with what they say and kind of how they hype expectations up. But the window started really well with bringing those players. But then nothing happened for about 5, 6 weeks. It was tumbleweeds, which you're kind of looking at it, and that all happened at kind of the back end of May, start of June, and then it gets to the start of pre-season. It's like we still don't have 11 players. This isn't good. And then a few players started coming in here and there. We had a few, contract or a few contracts which are taking a long time to resolve. Ian Bishman, that seemingly took years for him to re-sign. We tried to keep Jem Campbell. Obviously, he went to you guys. We tried to, we offered contracts to likes of Jaden Wareham and Michael Craig. They decided to go to Exeter and Leyton Orient. So there was a lot of nervousness kind of when that happened. But like overall in the transfer window, we ended up having a relatively good transfer window because even though we got them in late, Jack Marriott, very good striker at this level, Matt Ritchie at League One level, just fantastic. And when you see him play, you can tell that's a player that's played at the top of, the English divisions for a long time. But the problem was it all happened very late, and so no preseason was able to be done together. And I think you've really seen that with this Noel Hunt kind of start to the season because last year we struggled to create. We were giving up quite a few chances. Joel Pereira got us out of a lot of holes last year, overachieving on all of his statistics, really goalkeeping wise. But chance creation has been a struggle as well. And given we didn't have a pre-season, that just continued into this year. I still thought, looking at the players at the end of the window, top 10, I think, is a realistic kind of expectation. Maybe with a playoff push, who knows, if the right things happen. But you've got a good squad there, I think. But I think some fans were expecting top 6. They were thinking, oh, ownership details have been done, fresh start, and kind of seeing Reading as, one of the bigger clubs in this division. But I think realistically, when you look at it, it's been a club that's been neglected for 6, 7, 8 years, and some of the details Rob Coig is still trying to sort out with the previous owner, with some of the legal stuff and things they've found out that weren't apparent. Seeming there's been booby traps everywhere in this deal, somehow, some way. Yeah. So I think some were probably on the over optimistic mark, but yeah, I think what it has given is a good foundation to go forwards, which is the main thing.
14 games in, and I've got your form, I've got your statistics, I've got the kind of division up at the same time as well in front of me. 14 games in, 19th place, 3 wins, 6 draws, 5 defeats, 15 goals scored, 19 goals conceded, 15 points on the board. A changing manager as well, Liam Richardson, who it's his first game against us as well, I think, which you alluded to on your platform. Just talk to us about this season. I know that you've touched on it briefly there a little bit. And obviously the changing manager as well. Obviously it hasn't been the season that you'd have hoped. And hopefully under the new manager, hopefully there's only one way, and that's up.
Yes, well, fingers crossed. I mean, like I think the biggest part that's been frustrating has just been the football. The football hasn't been good to watch. Fundamentally, we've really struggled to create chances. I mean, that's shown in our XG numbers, without trying to get too nerdy on all of this. We simply haven't created chances. Sure, it's fine when you put them away and kind of you've got clinicalness at that end of the pitch, but we've survived on individual quality. And to be honest, we did that a lot last year. You look at the goals, a lot of the goals we scored, a lot of the Charlie Savage goals, the Lewis Wing goals that happened at crucial moments, at 0-0s, at 1-1s, that then put us ahead. They pick one out from 25 yards. That's not sustainable. You still need to be creating chances. And when it came to really, even when I looked to even up to 3 games ago, just everything would get to the final third and then just stall. The movement there, midfield players. We've got probably one of the better player for player midfields in the league. Lewis Wing, Charlie Savage, Kamari Doyle as well in there, as well as an attacking midfielder, Fraser as well, who we got in the summer. But the players just weren't utilizing it. They weren't moving. They weren't creating the space. They weren't being adventurous. Nobody wanted to take that risk to make a pass, and it just made us very stale in the final third. And when you get that, I mean, our touches within the box, I think, was one of the lowest until a few weeks ago, when kind of things seemed to ramp up a little bit. So it was just brewing a very kind of almost negative kind of situation, and it just got to a point where Noel Hunt was untenable, I think. But by the end, I think even though he got 4 points in his last 2 games, I think many fans thought he needed to win both games against Doncaster and, oh God, I've forgotten the one before that. It's abated my mind. It wasn't a good game. You can tell how much it happened. I think it was a 1-0 or something in the end. Northampton, of course, Northampton. It was a 1-0.
As a game against Northampton wouldn't be the most memorable either.
No, it wouldn't.
I'm not surprised it is.
But yeah, so it's kind of weird, because you might look at it and think, oh, well, he's got 4 points the last 2. How can you sack him after that? But it just got to a point where it was just like there was no vision of how the team's coming together, what they're wanting to do. It just wasn't clicking. And I think everyone, no bad blood will be held against Noel, but it was just wrong person, wrong time. I think from, unfortunately, too early. The way the summer panned out, it was always going to be a tough summer. Some people think that the owners hung him out to dry a bit, not doing business early enough. But ultimately, football's a results business, and it just had to, the change had to happen. I think fans were really, and myself, we were coming to games just thinking like, we were hoping, that things would change. And there's been a few times that had happened through the season where we'd have a good performance, Wickham away, Cardiff away as well, even though we lost. How we lost that game, I don't know. It was probably one of the best, if not the best performance we had under Noel Hunt, but for some fantastic goalkeeping by the Cardiff goalkeeper. So the change had to happen ultimately. And realistically, I think a lot of Reading fans are still in a bubble of thinking that, we're higher than we are, almost struggling to adapt to the fact that we are a League One team and that we can't get a Michael Carrick or someone as manager. I think a lot of fans built them up to be disappointed in the appointment of Liam Richardson, because people were saying, oh, go get Michael Carrick. show the ambition. It's like not going to happen. As I said to you on our other podcast, one of my co-hosts, Alex, was like, why don't we try and get Alex Ravel? It's like not going to happen. He's doing
Hands off.
brilliantly. Yeah, well, he's doing brilliantly at Stevenage. It's just not going to happen. And you look at the managers that are out of contracts. I know a lot wanted Luke Williams. I would have been happy with Luke Williams. Would have been risking that, given that we don't have the players to play his style of football. We don't have the players to play a 3 centre back system like he likes to play. But Liam Richardson, he's got promotion. Was maybe not a viewed figure in the run up, but I know again my co-host Alex did mention him 5 or 6 weeks ago as a potential replacement manager. So I think I don't look into his time at Rotherham, because I think you look at how Rotherham have done since coming down to League One. There was massive problems in that team before he joined and after he joined. So I look at his time at Wigan and you think, well, he took a team from administration to promotion the next season. So personally, I'm looking forward to promotion next season. That's what I'm gearing up for.
Mate, maybe even a quick turnaround this season.
A quick turn down this season. Imagine that. Stevenage top us second, or us top you.
Wow! I said it on your guys' podcast. Us in the championship next season. I don't want to throw that in there. Look, we certainly won't be playoffs. We'll be going the big time in the automatic. That's for sure. I was going to say, actually, I think it's quite a good thing that you've just had the new appointment, because we're in November, and I tend to think, obviously, this is a squad that Noel Hunt was obviously manager of, and I've got your team in front of me right now. But I think it's good in the sense of, Richardson's now got the whole season to kind of assess the team. Obviously, you want to do well and you want to be competitive, obviously, Reading FC. But at least you've got him for the rest of the season and hopefully the summer, and actually he can somewhat build a platform for a really top competitive squad. Because Matt, I've got your team up, like Charlie Savage, Wing, Boyle, Marriott, Lane, Finley Burns. I mean, we had Finley Burns too. He's going to crack.
Yeah. Oh God, he's unfortunately he's not had a good start to his time at Reading. It's been a very unfortunate. I think now we've been trying to debate: is he unfortunate or has he been putting himself in the wrong positions? He's given away. Well, I think he scored. It's either 1 or 2 own goals, and I think about 4 or so deflected goals. And it's kind of like either he's the most unlucky player known to man, but he is also playing centre back, which I think, did he play defensive midfield for you?
When we got him, obviously he was naturally a centre back from Man City. So at the start of the season, he was playing centre back and he was brilliant. And then we had a little change where we had one of our players come back fit, and we put him into kind of like defensive midfield role, and he was brilliant there. So we just kind of, he just stuck. So we just kept playing there, and he played there throughout the whole kind of second part of the season before, basically.
Yeah, I think almost he'd be better there, because I think one thing that unfortunately, and I think it's where the frustrations come in with the Reading fans, is kind of like the deflections and that you kind of see that and you think that's just very unlucky. But a number of the times that there's been a number of kind of like disaster class head loss moments where you think, what are you doing there? You've dived in, you've pulled out, you've ruined the defensive structure there. You've not picked up the run, unfortunately for him. But he's a young player. We know he did very well, at you guys. So I think, there's still hope that he can turn it around. But, with Powdy O'Connor and Derek Williams at the moment at the back, who very good centre-back pairing. Unfortunately, we've just not seen it really, because Powdy O'Connor's been injured since the start of the season. And and Derek Williams, I think, got injured a couple of weeks ago, which has been a massive blow for us.
Let's talk about your team then. Who have been the good performers? Who have been the players that haven't necessarily performed well? Obviously, I know that you've mentioned Finley Burns there. There's been a couple of moments and a couple of poor performances. But who have been the good players? Who have been the players that you haven't really been impressed with?
I think Lewis Wing's one that always stands out because of the quality he has. I think even though this is, I think most will kind of agree it's been a very subpar season for him, he's still got the ability to score one from 30 yards, or pick out a pass which no one else can pick out. So I still think him, but like Jack Marriott signed, and I think everyone was umming and ahhing. I think, oh, he's not a 31-year-old striker. He's not overly match fit, but then he goes on and scores five in his first five. Which no other Reading player's done in history. And you're like, oh, bloody hell, wow. But then he goes and gets injured. He's like, oh, come on, like, give us a break.
In comes the Batcher man.
Well, yeah, which again, just unfortunately, he's just not a striker, and I think he's one that has frustrated so many Reading fans this year because he's got talent, but just.
I like him, but
yeah,
I can see that he doesn't. He isn't of that level, is he? I think.
He can do things, and that's the frustrating thing about him. He's good at running at people, but he's kind of picked up a position more on the left. And when he's on the left, he just tries to beat 10 players before doing something. And there's so many times you think, just shoot or just pass, and he just continues running. So a bit of a frustrating player, but I think. Another one to pick out is nearly knocked my mic over there, getting too excited. Another one to pick out, I think, is Matt Ritchie, who again, we've not seen probably enough of him, and I think he got of all injuries, I think he got a dead gluteus maximus a couple of games ago. Not probably a nice one to get that.
Could you imagine your week after?
Yeah, you're not sitting down comfortably after that.
No, you're not.
But just when he plays, like he was coming on, and this was maybe one of the frustrating things in the Noel Hunt era, was I think he valued him more at the end of the game than at the start of the game. But we all think, well, you're just tying your hands there, just play him for 60 minutes, then take him off. When he comes on, you watch his footballing brain, and you just think like, bloody hell, there is quite a difference between a League One player and someone that's played in the Premier League for 10 years. The way he commands the pitch, I've never seen a player shout so much. Now, maybe people will say, an angry short person or whatever, but just like just seeing that command on the pitch and the quality he brings. I mean, there was a fantastic goal. We scored against Stockport. We got a 1-1 draw there. And one of the best goals, most satisfying goals I've seen us score for years. Just very quick counter-attacking football. Comes out to Ritchie. First time, I think it was outside of the boot from a long crossfield ball. Passes it to Jack Marriott. First time finish. Fantastic goal. I watched that and I thought, bloody hell. The quality that was there just in that pass, but just the way he controls the pitch. I think I've seen very few players do that in their time really at Reading FC. I'd pick out those two players. I'll be honest, it's been disappointing. We've got Paddy Lane, very good player at this level, not quite got there. Charlie Savage, again, not a very good player, not really had the start of the season he's wanted. Paddy O'Connor, the few games we've seen, very good from him, but he's been injured for 2 months, and I think he's injured again potentially, so he might not play this this Thursday. And so same with Derek Williams. So it's just been a frustrating one with just injuries kind of coming all at the wrong moments, I think, for each player.
It's interesting. I think you'll improve, and I think you'll get better, and I think you'll slowly climb the division again. I really
hoping.
I know. I honestly, I really like your squad. I think you've got some really good players.
Yeah, on paper, it's a very good squad, and it's why I think, like, with the right manager and the right circumstances, top 10 should be an achievable goal with maybe a playoff push. But I guess the table doesn't lie, as they always say. And quite frankly, this season we deserve to be where we are because we have not played good football. Really haven't. It's been a God. I always say it's like sticking, or you'd have more fun sticking pins in your eyes sometimes than watching this Reading team this season. But it might just be because I think everyone thinks that it can do better. But yeah, it's a good team on paper. Just waiting for it to click. Hopefully, Lean can bring that out of them.
It's a big game Thursday. You've got yourself in 19th, and a win would do you guys wonders. I think is it you've won 1 in 6? I think it is. I think I had it in front of me. One win in 6. So really big game for yourself.
Yeah. Lots of draws, and that was the problem. That was the problem, because like even though we were second best in games, we had the individual quality to get out of them, but it was just 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. Then we lose, and then we win. Yeah.
Yeah. And draws are good, but you've got to have that quality to turn them into. again, big game for yourselves just to kind of get away from that kind of pack down there, and for us, a win kind of puts top of the league. I think I'll be pinching myself. I'll be sitting in the car for about
You got to say that as much as you can, Matt. Honestly, just like if you don't enjoy it when you're there, you never will.
Oh, and the thing is, Matt, as well, right, is, and I've been saying this to a lot of the boys, we've been, I'm trying not to rub this in, but we've been top like on 8 different occasions this season already. So it's got to the point now where we're just like,
is that in game or at the end of games, or
both?
Yeah.
So it's like, for example, at the start of the season when we went 3-1 up against Blackpool, we were top for like 10 minutes, and then I think after games we've been top on, I think 3 occasions, three to 4 occasions, but a great opportunity for us to go top again before those top teams play. How do you view it Thursday? Because obviously Richardson's first game with you guys in the league at your place, and then us in a position where we kind of want to get back into that top 2 if we can.
Very tough. It's going to be a very, very interesting game, I think, from a Reading player perspective, because I mean, we've been able to get through this podcast without addressing the elephant in the room, Saturday, and what happened. I imagine that there would have been some very harsh truths being told to some of the players, because I mean, I've told you off air, it was probably one of the most embarrassing 30 minutes I think I've ever watched, because just the manner of the collapse to Carlisle on the weekend in the FA Cup is just nothing that I've ever seen before. But it was so predictable, because you could just see it in the players. Like we hadn't played brilliantly in the second half, but we were good enough. I mean, you're playing a team 2 divisions below, you'd kind of hope for that. But then the way they just collapsed, and you just looked and you just thought, there's just nothing. What's going on here? Like, and then the last, well, from when we went 2-2, and then we eventually went 3-2 behind in extra time. I think we had 1 shot in all of extra time, and you're thinking, 1 shot against a team that's National League. There's problems here, real problems, and I think it just showed the job that I think Liam Richardson's got in his hands now. I mean, some might say, well, you know, it's been the circumstances and kind of, you know, the season and the injuries, and you know, but we're in November. You know, you can't continue, you can't be gelling as a team in November. You know, there's some fundamental problems in this team. We talked through the season about this being a very confidence-based team, where, you know, we'll look dreadful for the game, but we'll get a goal and then we'll look brilliant for 5 minutes. Like, you think, where's this been all game? But then it all calms down. And likewise, when we concede, my God, it's like chaos stations. You know, it's just you watch and you just think, like, how is this happening with all of this experience on the pitch? It's like my co-host Alex kind of mentioned it on the previous pod. It's like watching under 21s football sometimes with the player. So it'll be very interesting to see how we bounce back from that, and the squad choice. Lots of injuries still. You know, I don't think Jack Marriott will play. I'm not sure Paddy O'Connor will, and Derek Williams as well. If those 3 are out, you know, that leaves us very ropey at the back. You'll have Finley, Burns, and Stickland potentially playing. Actually, I think Stickland might. Burns might be injured as well, because I'm not sure he played at the weekend. I can't quite remember. So it's very kind of makeshift at the moment. But it could literally go anyway. If you gave me a draw right now, I'd probably be quite happy, which I don't think I would have said of maybe a couple of weeks ago under Hunt. But I think, you know, just something just to stabilise the ship after the weekend, could be very big for, I guess, maybe some of the players, and whether or not, you know, they're going to be sticking around in the Richardson team. Some of the young players as well, you know, they need to show that they're good enough at this level, which they have at times. You know, players like Kamara's being very good, but the weekend not good at all. And some of the individual mistakes you watch and you just think, oh God, you know, I would not have wanted to be you that in that dressing room on Saturday evening. That was for sure. So yeah.
Got to push you for a score prediction, mate. I know you said that you'd love a draw. You take a draw, certainly take a draw given, but what are you kind of feeling on Thursday night?
I know you went 1-0 Jamie Reid, and I don't on my podcast
as well.
I know, like,
Big goal, Reedy.
I know you've
For
been
a couple of
manifesting it in your
months.
head, and now I'm manifesting it in my head. I can see this in like the 87th minute or something, and
You
it
know the
just being
goal near
like
the away end. You know the way they're beating in the
yeah, no,
corner, and
Matt, I don't want to be imagining this.
Charlie Good with the long throws. They go in the ball fight. Cole Pigiani flicking it on back post. You know what I mean? See what I mean, Matt? You see where I'm going with
If
it?
Gianni does that, and if he then signs for us, because I'm a massive fan of him, as I know I've said about 10 times already tonight, I'll be very happy. But no,
I love that.
we'll leave my love affair with Carl Gianni for another time.
Yeah,
As a footballer,
yeah.
um, I can't believe I'm going to do this. You've manifested it in my head as well. I'm going to go 1-0 loss. I can't believe this.
I can't believe it. That's the first time someone's got a loss for their team on the previous.
You've manifested it in my head,
told you.
Matt. I can see it. And now I'm going to be cursing when it's Jamie Reid in the 87th minute tomorrow night because I can. Oh, dearie me. No.
Matt, if that happens, we will send you a little gift of apology. I think if Jamie Reid ends up scoring in the 90th minute from a throw, and it gets bumped, and there's Reedy tapping out, we will personally send you a gift of apology from the Stevenage FC podcast.
Well, as long as it's not a Jamie Reid shirt, maybe if it's a Carl Pigiani shirt, I think I'll take that. But...
We could sort that out. I'm sure we could get Pidge to sign a shirt and send it your way. Maybe the shirt he wore in the match. But I don't know. I just wanted to sell you the dream. I know it's not ideal, but I wanted to sell you it.
We'll see. Hopefully, it's a good game anyway, and we'll be end to end. That's what we go to football at the end of the day for. So
what we want, you can't play on Sky Sports prime time and have a 0-0 draw fest, can you?
No. And it's the most un-Stevenage v Reading thing ever, surely. Like,
I know. Could you imagine 3-3? Absolutely, it'd be unbelievable. Yeah, Finley Burns scores. Everyone's like, "What?" Cole Pigiani scores. There you go. It's just an absolute unbelievable game of football. Matt, now on our preview podcast this season, right at the end of every podcast, we're doing a little bit of a competition this season with all the guests that we have on. So I know that I've just said, that dream and manifestation of Jamie Reid scoring in the last minute happens, we'll send you a gift. But if you do win our competition on the preview episodes this season, you do actually win a gift. And we will personally send you it from the Stevenage Football Club podcast. Now, the competition is a prediction competition, and it's very simple. You have to predict Reading's finish and also predict our finish at Stevenage. Now, the person that can get the closest prediction of both their own team and our team will win the competition. Or if there is somebody that gets the predictions bang on, so let's say you get Reading bang on and us bang on, you win. If you get Reading bang on but don't get us bang on, obviously we'll work out the mathematics to see who wins. So I'm going to ask you, Matt, your Reading prediction for the season and our prediction as well.
Oh, see, I know where I'm predicting Stevenage right now. So I guess I'm going to go with that one first. I think you're going to finish sixth. I think which I know might be a bit disappointing right now.
Oh, but no, not a chance.
I think he will sneak playoffs. I think like I know we discussed kind of the chance creation and stuff, but I just look at what's been built, and you're just such a defensively solid team. Defensively solid teams, get results and win football games, and that's the bottom line. You don't have to create huge amounts of chances when you're so defensively solid, which you guys are. I think I think you'll finish sixth, which I think will be brilliant to see. And fingers crossed it happens, because I really want this prize. But Reading, God.
Do you know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to go us sixth and Reading third, and we played each other in the playoffs. That's where I thought.
No, I'm not that ambitious. Sadly, I'm trying to think where in the mid-table do I put Reading, because I do think Reading will pick up through the season. I was thinking 12th, 11th. I know it's a very boring prediction that to kind of go 12th or 11th. I'm taking this very seriously because I want to win. I don't know what this prize is. It might be a Stevenage pen for all I know, but I want it.
Again, it could be a Cole Pigiani shirt. I'm just saying, mate. It could be.
Now we're talking.
Or could you imagine if we got you a Reading shirt with a Pigiani name on the back, just to settle your kind of.
And then he'll sign for us in the summer, and my life will be complete.
Pidge couldn't. He couldn't do that to us. He wouldn't do that to us. Not the skipper, not the legend.
I'm gonna. 11th. Do I go 11th? Yeah, I'm gonna go on the optimistic side of things. I'm gonna say 11th place. We're gonna finish this
Okay,
season.
so I've got my pen. So 6th for us and 11th for
Mm.
Reading. There we go. Matt Lansley, you have joined the competition. There we go.
I'm excited now.
Do you know what? We're going to keep you in the loop about this. I'm just going to mention something as well, right? So we started doing this competition. It was our first home match of the season. So it was Rotherham United. And I had one of the chaps on for the Rotherham pod, and I felt bad because it was like the second game, and I was like, "Where's Rotherham United going to finish?" And they were a bit like, "I don't know." So
yeah, I feel like I've got a bit of an advantage here, which is but
that's it. We're
the luck
trying
of the
to
draw.
cap it, right? We're trying to cap it in a way that by like January, it's done. So, could you imagine going into like April going, where are you going to finish?
Yeah.
Like 4 games to go. It's like, what? How's
That's
that
not fair. Where's the regulations in this? Where's the rules?
That's it. And then there's Mark at Rotherham going, I had to do it in August.
Yeah. I do feel for him there. You should have done it on the return fixture if it was in January for him, I think. So.
I know. Do you know what? We don't play them till Easter. So I was like, oh, dear.
Oh, no, sorry.
I'm going to have to do it
August.
August.
Your chance. Yeah.
That's it. I'm going to have to do it August. It's the only time I could do it.
Now or never.
That's it. I really hope you win, Matt. I'm not just for putting us.
So do I.
Yeah, I really hope you win. I can't wait to send that gift your way.
Where out of interest, where have most people predicted Stevenage? Have they? Do they think they're going to stick playoffs? Have some dropped them down? Or
really good question. So this is a really interesting. Do you know what? I'm really happy you've said this actually because I was thinking it when you said it. So we have had. I've got it in front of me. We've had 6 people send in their predictions so far. Every person that we've had has said 6th and above.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So the highest that we've
I feel like I've gone low now. I feel like
yeah. This is the fascinating thing. The highest that we've had is 4th. So 4th, it's been a fluctuating from 4th to 6th. So 4th, 6th, it's been the narrative. But every person that we've predicted have said playoffs.
Yeah.
Which for me is like,
that must be putting the biggest smile on your face.
I'm so proud because honestly, I give anything for this team. Like I was in the summer, I was fully behind this project, fully behind the team, the signings, what we were creating. So to get a playoff place would be unbelievable.
Story of the season, I think it'd be. I think it'd be fantastic. I think the defense is so good. I'm interested to see how it does on Thursday night. Genuinely, because any chance to see Carl Piergianni live and just because I'll stop my fangirling over him.
Any stewards listening to this, can you please keep that away from our skipper, please? I feel like that's going to nick him and steal him.
I'll just take him down to Bearwood, be like, no, you're not leaving.
Yeah, just lock him inside the stadium.
You are now a Reading FC player.
Yeah, but corner flag statement. Carl Piergianni is missing. Oh, okay, I see where this is going.
I know where he's gone. Right, police. Well, let's call the Bedfordshire police. Or
let's just send the preview episode right to the constabulary. They can take it from there. They'll get their man. They'll get their man. Matt, my man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Where can all the Stevenage supporters go and find all of you guys on the Elm Park Royals?
Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, all your socials, Spotify as well for your podcasts. Not on YouTube, but we upload videos to Spotify and your podcast of choice, so Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, whatever they're called. Basically, your podcast vendor of choice. But yeah, go follow us on socials, and yeah, if you're interested in Reading. If not, I completely understand because you're Stevenage FC fans, so why would you care? But if you do, there you go.
I love that. Boro fans, please go and follow those platforms. We'll make sure that we tag the guys in our release for the preview episode. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, thank you so much. If you have watched this episode on YouTube, make sure to give us a follow, like, and a subscribe. And again, if you've been listening on all of the audibles, thank you so much for all of your support. We will be back Sunday, and there'll be 2 different people hosting the podcast because I do go to New York on Saturday. So I go back for my 3rd trip, my favorite place. So you won't be hearing my positive, bubbly voice on Sunday. You'll be hearing Mr. Andrew Blair, my co-host, and Mr. Reece Donnelly as well. So you will not be listening to me on Sunday, but we will be back reacting to Thursday night's match away at Reading. Stay tuned for all the content this week, guys, on the social media, and have a safe and hopefully a fantastic trip Thursday evening. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. At this time, as always, you've been listening and watching the Stevenage Football Club podcast.